brought to you by Enhanced Property Appearance,
Go get your crib painted. Enhanced Property, the best in the business, man.
Alpha Roofing,
Oh, man, that roof, too. I know your roof be leaking when it start raining outside.
and Envision Production Agency.
Got the best pictures, videos, whatever. He pull up on you in a drone anywhere in the city.
Check them out. You're now listening to Streets of Success with Frank, Jalil, and Tony.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, we're going to interview Tony, give some of his background, how he got to where he's at, where he's going in the future. Tony, you can take it from here.
You got it, buddy. So, Tony Charlton, born and raised in Kensington. I was born and raised in the neighborhood born in 70s, late 70s. Growing up in the neighborhood in the 80s and 90s in Kensington, and I moved out in the 2000s, mid 2000s, I think it is, or late 2000s, something like that.
So, give us a little background of, your early years, family, siblings, then going into your teenage years.
Yeah, so we were talking actually before we went on here about like growing up poor, how we grew up, and you were asking about like did we grow up poor, and I was saying like growing up in a neighborhood where everyone's poor, you don't realize you're growing up poor until you look back on it 25 years later, 30 years later, and say, man, maybe we did grow up poor, which we'll get into later about like how I went from transitioning to sort of working at pizza stores to having a career, and then was able for me to look back and see the differential between the two.
Okay.
So
Nice.
yeah.
So, you, siblings,
Yeah. So
mother and father actively in your life?
Yep. So my mother and father passed away. There was 5 of us total. So I ended up losing 2 brothers and a sister. So I have myself and my sister around. So I guess talk a little bit about that, which I didn't really get in earlier. So my family and the neighborhood transitioned over time, but my brothers and sisters, my brothers and my sister were in the drugs, and that's how they passed away from an overdose.
Oh,
So
wow.
All of them?
yeah, all of them. So I didn't go to high school just because I grew up at a time where my parents had the mindset of like work first.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just how we grew up. But always hustled, sold pretzels at 11, 12 years old. The whole neighborhood always had a hustle, like no matter what it was. If it was selling pretzels, if it was, remember going to the grocery store and you would load people's cars with their bags, and they would give you a tip.
Yeah.
Bagging.
Bagging. Yeah,
Wow.
bagging. We would bag. We would deliver, circulars.
So no
sell
illegal
pretzels.
activity?
No.
But it was around you, though, in Kensington, obviously.
Yeah, the neighborhood had a bunch of stuff, yeah. I mean, I hung around with people who were involved with some stuff at, one point in my life. But, never got in trouble for anything, never really walked down that path. I have a really good group of friends. Guys, like growing up in the neighborhood, there's different groups of people. My group of guys were always like pretty safe, never really got involved in anything. Played sports, played hockey, basketball, the recreation all day, all night.
Yep.
So, if you don't mind me asking, what age were you and your siblings around the time that your parents passed away?
So my mom just passed away in 2020, and my dad passed away probably about 20 years ago. So I was older. We were older.
All right.
But my sister passed away probably like 25 years ago.
Okay.
Actually, yeah, right, about 30 years ago now. Yeah, because I was 16. Yeah, so 30 years ago, my sister passed away, and then my brother passed away probably like 25 years ago, somewhere in that area. And then my oldest brother just passed away back in 2020 as well from drugs. So
Wow.
Yeah, sorry to hear.
yeah, I mean, you guys see what's happening in Kensington, like even now, now it's worse than it's ever been. But yeah, I mean, it's tough. So
Yeah, how, and you just, I guess they hung around a particular group of friends that got them involved into what they were involved in, and you took another route?
yeah. So I mean, the saying as it goes is you are your friends. I mean, if you show me 5 good people, or you'll be the 6th.
Yeah, right.
5 shitheads, you'll be the 6th. That's you are your company.
Right. So starting to, get older, teenage years, you didn't go to high school.
Right.
never stepped foot in a high school?
I gotta think about this for a second. I might have went to Frankfurt for a day, like literally a day.
Orientation.
Yeah, like literally a day. I remember going in the door and going out the side. Like I didn't even like middle school. So yeah, it was.
So what were you doing when you weren't in school? You didn't go to school. What were you doing?
Work.
Started working.
Always worked.
Okay.
Worked 2 full-time jobs. I worked at Butler Foods, which was a slaughterhouse on Aramingo Avenue. They actually slaughtered chickens and pigs, and I didn't do any of the slaughtering. I did more of the delivering. I did do delivering. My friend's father would drive to New York, and I would unload the trucks.
Okay.
Like a helper.
Yeah, so that was actually from 2 a.m. to about in the afternoon the next day, and then I worked at a pizza store from about 4 p.m. to like 10:30 or something like that.
Making pizza?
Everything, making dough, delivering, anything,
Okay.
pinch hitting anywhere.
Were you working so hard at a young age to help your parents contribute towards the bills or like help your younger siblings and stuff out?
So I'm the youngest.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I actually paid rent. At like 15 years old, I was paying my parents.
Wow.
To just help out.
Wow.
So yeah.
So you weren't given anything. Let's just make that clear. No car was given to you. No.
No, my mom did buy me a car. My
bought you a
first car was a 1987 Cutlass Sierra. She put it on her credit card. It was $1,100.
On her credit card.
Yeah,
A
she bought
car.
it on her credit card. $1,100, and I delivered pizza in it. So she had a method to her man, and she was going to get me a car to make her more money.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she's smart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, so now you're working at the pizza shop. You're delivering for the slaughter place, and you're doing that for how many years until what's next for you?
So did that for a couple years, and around about 18 years old I was, and my best friend's mom approached me about a job opportunity at a law firm in the mailroom. So being from the neighborhood, getting a job in Center City at a law firm, you're mentally rich.
Yeah.
You're I actually remember walking to work so I would get on the L at K&A. I would walk past my brother who was on drugs, hanging out like on the steps of the bank, and I would have to walk by him like I didn't know him and walk by. Kind of bizarre.
So you
In
get
the
on a
same
K&A, get off down Center City,
Get down.
and you feel like you made it a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah, you feel like it, and this was before business casual. So before where you wore like jeans and a shirt, and you could have had any job. Like everyone in those positions wore suits. So
At an early age, you had a suit on.
not me, I was in the mailroom, but yeah, most people did. But I did have to wear a tie. I didn't know how to tie it, and I would take my tie to my boss, and he would tie it for me each day until
Finally got the hang of it.
yeah, a couple weeks
I don't
into
want
it.
this grown man keep putting his hands around me.
Exactly, a few weeks into it, but yeah, so.
And this is without no skills, no school, no background in this field at all.
It's kind of interesting because the number one rule I would try and tell people now is just show up. Like if you just show up, you're gonna learn, right? And if you do something long enough, you're gonna be good at it.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
Consistency.
consistency wins.
Do you have any regrets from any of the jobs that you had, like in the past?
No,
No
not
regrets?
really. No, just
Like I took this on because I had to, and I gained stuff from it, and then I moved on, and everything was like you got
Like
value
shaped
from it.
you.
there
Like
was
shaped you
there
for
was no
who you are
structure
now?
though. Like so like people that grew up, unlike us, like people that have stability, whose parents are stable and have a career path for their kids, where they say, I want you to go to this school, I want you to go to college. We didn't have any of that. Like I'm sure like you guys too, right? Just working and just going through the motions. And that's what it was. It was going through the motions. But what I can control is getting up every day. And like thinking back on it now, like that's what sort of separated me from the other people was I would just show up. So I was like, I might not have been the best employee. I don't know, but I was the most dependable.
Yeah. So you're not in the mailroom no more. What's next after that?
Oh, so I'm still in the mailroom. My boss at the time was friends with a guy that owned a local office supply company, Emerald Business Supplies, which is local to Northeast Philadelphia. And I ended up taking a job there in sales. So I was doing a sales position at the age of like 22 now. calling on big law firms and big businesses. And I called on a company called Ernst & Young. That was my biggest account. I would go in and realize at one point that the gatekeepers were the receptionist. And
They control who gets to talk to who.
yeah, who gets to talk to who? Like, so if I went in and said, "Is Mr. Frank Benton available?" It was always no. So I got creative because you got to think outside the box, as they say. I ended up going to Famous Forestry Cookies, buying them cookies. So now when I would go in, I would, as Frank said earlier, bribe them. So I would bribe them with some cookies, but then I was able to get to the buyers. So it made my success rate a lot higher to close deals. So
this is where you learn your sales at, persuasion, and just really getting in front of people and closing deals with at this company right here.
yeah, so I think like the value that I got in my life that got me places that, I got to, it was street smarts. So I didn't go to school, right? We established that. But I did grow up in the neighborhood. And that's something about that. So like there's always a way to get what you need to get. And, you just have to think it a little differently. So I had the street smarts, and that's what that was the intuition that got me through to the buyers.
Yeah. So you landed a big deal. You're working for this company, and then what?
Big deal, relatively speaking, probably making $25,000, $30,000 a year. So big deal at that point. But yeah, then just the confidence builds, and now you're knocking on bigger doors, and it's just nonstop.
So you're what, mid-20s? Or
Yeah,
early
22, 23, 24-ish. And then say 24, 25, I get a job. So that ran its course, sales. Yeah, I could only do it for so long. I got a job working at a big law firm in Center City, one of the largest in the country. I was the evening mailroom supervisor. Okay. So I worked there from noon till 8 p.m. every day. And same thing, just showing up. But I had a team of people that worked with me, probably 15 people. And I would do copying, deal with the attorneys and the secretaries, and worked there and sort of got involved with facilities. I would travel around. So I never traveled anywhere. Like when I say we grew up poor, like the furthest I went to was Wildwood, New Jersey in the summer, here and there, until I was like 18, and I went down for, an extended time. But when I worked at the law firm, I ended up getting they ended up sending me around to open or close law, like the different practices. Like if the company was moving or something, I would box up their stuff and move them. So I started traveling and getting a little bit more involved in facilities. So
at that point in time, did you ever have in your mind like of course you wasn't comfortable, like you always, like did you have in your mind like one day I want to be an entrepreneur, or like I wanted it to be bigger? Like did you ever have that in your mind, or that mindset at that point in time in your life?
I always had like a thought that I was going to get involved in real estate.
Okay.
But no, I never. Again, I was just going through the motions.
You were successful at that point, coming from where most people came from, so you probably weren't even thinking. You already think you kind of made it, right?
I don't know, because I never really looked back and said who's not doing what in the neighborhood. I always looked in front of me, and I was like, wow, man, I can get to that job, and I can get to that job.
Yeah.
So I never really looked back and said, so and so still delivering newspapers. Never really thought about it. Just was moving forward and seeing where I can get to inside.
So you're dealing with the mailroom supervising stuff. You're dealing with these new facilities. How long does this run for?
5 years. So now I'm
late 20s.
Late 20s, married, have a son,
Yeah.
2 stepdaughters. So my wife had 2 young girls when we got together, 2 young kids, 1 and 3. So I got in their life pretty early on, and helped her raise them. She was a single mom, so helped her raise the girls.
And you're still at the
mailroom supervisor, maybe manager at this point. And then my son was born, and I was still working at the law firm. And my boss at the time came to me and said he just had a job interview at a cable company called Comcast.
Never heard of them.
Never heard of them. And I really didn't at the time. No, I really didn't.
I had the hot box back then. What was it, 88 or 82?
Yeah, 82.
Don't act like you don't know.
I know.
He knows. So I got a job. Well, no, let me take a step back. So I actually had an interview at Comcast, and it was a few interviews, and I ended up getting a job eventually working at Comcast.
At what position?
It was an operations manager, which overseen mailroom, purchasing, and a move. So they were getting ready to move the following year, so they were gearing up their team.
Again, no schooling, no type of degree, nothing.
This is now like on the job training
Okay.
and great personnel skills. So I was good with the people.
Yeah.
So so I went to Comcast, and Comcast ended up moving. So we had 22 floors at 1500 Market Street, and they were building the Comcast Center in a couple of years. So I ended up getting involved there with the purchasing and aligning their purchasing, streamlining it, I should say, and growing their mailroom operations team and shipping and receiving. It was a much bigger job at that point, and probably had around, when I first started there, we probably had about 6 employees, and we grew to about 25 at that location. Then we moved to the new building, and the whole team grew. We probably had like 60 people or something like that, with like base building staff and everything.
And you played a part in the growth. And
Yeah.
so at this point, you're at Comcast. They're probably taking care of you financially. You're doing good, the most you ever made, probably.
Yeah. Yep.
Now we're talking benefits and pensions and stock shares, stuff like
Stock
that. So you got it
options.
good.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got it good. You still live in Philadelphia?
Living in South Jersey now. So when my
South Jersey.
son was born, at a very young age, we moved. When he was at a very young age, we moved to Washington Township, New Jersey.
How was that house? I'm just curious. You know, over home in Philly, now
Right.
you're moving to Jersey.
Right.
Yeah.
So I lived in it was my wife's house that I moved into.
Okay.
It became our house. So we sold that and moved into a single family home. So yeah, that's when I feel like, wow, maybe we made it. You know, like just having a single family home, moving
Swimming
from the
pool.
neighborhood. We end up getting one put in a couple of years.
Swimming
Yeah. Yeah.
So now you have like the American dream. Like you're making really good money at a really good company. You have your family, the house. You know, you feel like you got the world still kind of by the balls at this point. Everything's going your way. Then what happens at the Comcast?
So I worked at Comcast for over 12 years, and I guess running parallel at some points, I was able to circle back on that dream that I had about getting involved in real estate. And so I ended up buying a house in Fishtown and flipping it, and then buying 2 houses, 3, 5, 10.
Yeah.
And I had a nice little portfolio of houses.
While at Comcast.
While at Comcast, yeah. So I had, 2 streams of income. I was flipping houses over here and doing pretty decent at Comcast.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just I know you part ways with Comcast at some point.
Oh yeah. So 6 years ago, when I was 40, I was saying to my wife, I always wanted to try and retire when I was 40 years old. So
I say that all the time too.
yeah.
You're almost there, though.
No, he missed it. He's like 45. No, so I had this dream and was able to make it a reality. I ended up leaving Comcast at 40.
Good terms.
Yeah, great company. One of the best companies ever. One of the best companies I ever worked for. So I ended up leaving there at 40, and took some time off, and about a year I think it was, and got a job at a nonprofit. So nothing you could do at 41. I mean, you have to do something. My wife and I were doing a little bit of traveling and stuff, but I ended up getting a job at a nonprofit called Jevs in Philadelphia. I was always curious how nonprofits made so much money, but they're called a nonprofit.
Yeah, like Rolex. I didn't know that was a nonprofit. Somebody informed me about that. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. It's
I don't even
crazy.
know if it's true, but we'll have to check fact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
We'll
fact check. Excuse me. Fact check. Excuse me. Yeah.
fact check.
So, so I end up getting a job at a nonprofit to see a little bit how that works, and I realized that in the nonprofit world, they had a methadone clinic that didn't really do a lot of profit. They had a technical school that did okay, but their majority of their profit was made from the home care business. So it piqued my interest a little bit to try and learn a little bit about the home care business, and and I got involved in buying a home care company down in Lake Jackson, Texas. Was our first purchase.
So while you're retired from Comcast, are you
Left.
getting like
Yeah, left Comcast. Yeah.
So you're not getting no money from pension, anything like that, retirement?
No, no.
So you have real estate stuff still going on, flips,
Yep.
stuff like that. So that you had some income coming in from that. The nonprofit's still paying you, right? You're not working for free. They're just a nonprofit.
Right.
So you're
Yep.
making money from that. And then now you invested into a home health care company
Mm-hmm.
from seeing everything go through the nonprofit. Like, hey, there's something I want to get involved in.
Yeah.
So how did that even come about? Like, how did that opportunity even happen?
My partner actually approached me about the opportunity down in Lake Jackson, Texas, and I think like my biggest attribute is putting people together. And my partner Joe brought the opportunity to me, and I was able to get our CEO, who's Mike, who's a real killer in that field, to be our partner and run the company for us. So we ended up buying one in Lake Jackson, Texas. We ended up buying a bigger one, a bigger home care company in downtown Pittsburgh. We bought another one in Scranton. We bought another one in Bucks County. Now we're buying them all over. So we end up having, I think we have like 5 or 6 of them right now. So
in the beginning, did you have any concerns, being as though like you lived on the East Coast and you had that business in Texas? Like,
right.
Like, was there like any negative thoughts or any concerns running through your mind at that point?
It's a good question. No, I never really thought about it that deep because the purchase came with like a director and a team of people already. So
Like a COO.
yeah,
CEO.
yeah. So over time, we ended up like making some changes, and yeah. But no, I never really was concerned about it.
Okay.
I just think that's crazy. You go from working a regular job, which is fine, then flipping houses, which it's pretty common actually.
No. Before that, not to cut you off.
Yeah.
No high school education before all of that.
Yeah, no, that's.
It's the definition from the bottom, man.
But to get into home health care, like that's like not even in the medical field, not even a doctor, nurse, nothing. Like not working in a hospital. Like to get into a medical field is it's insane.
It's a business. I feel like no matter what you get involved in, if you get involved in business with the right people, it really doesn't matter what the field is. So like, Frank, you own a nice sized painting company. You're great at what you do. Like if you came to me talking about, let's get involved doing painting together, like you're the guy. Like, let's explore it a little bit further, So, I think like it's not really having the wherewithal or the knowledge within a specific field. It's more so for me, it's always been the people who I'm involved with.
Okay, so we're talking about business. So we have other businesses that start coming along the way. I like to joke and call you a serial entrepreneur because you have your hands in everything. So we're talking flips by yourself, no partners, right? Maybe pick up a partner here and there.
Right.
Home health care. And then what's the next line of businesses that you have?
So partners in a nice size roofing company in the city.
Yep.
So we do roofing and siding, commercial, residential. I am partners in a nice size construction company. So my partner and I are building approximately 300 doors right now plus.
I think we might have him on too.
Yeah, he's good behind the microphone.
Yeah, he got a face for a microphone.
He does. So we're building that now, and plus we have more stuff in the pipeline. I own a partners in a commercial lighting company, distribution lighting company, and a commercial luxury mid to high end lighting company as well. Real estate, home care, lighting, and I'm partners in a holding company that we buy other companies. So,
and probably silent partners in some stuff that.
Yeah, some silent investments and some stuff. Yep.
How do you manage it all? That's like the number one I'm thinking, and I know you, and I'm still curious of how do you manage. I have one, maybe 2, 3. Now I got like 3 things going on, and when I remember, just one was enough for me. And I guess delegation's huge, and
yeah, we've there's teams in all the companies, partners talking. I don't play video games, so like that's my video game is like the businesses.
Yeah.
But great partners, good dialogue, open communication. It's key.
What do you think so we're talking about key components of business. I'm thinking marketing and sales, leadership, systems. What do you think is like some of the key factors into having a successful business?
People.
People.
First, people. People, technology. Those are the two drivers, people and technology. Marketing, sales, it's all like sort of the technology side.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd say people and technology. But people first. I mean, but without the people, it doesn't really flow. In the majority of the businesses anyway.
So you're acquiring companies too now?
Yep.
You said you had an acquisition company or
Yep.
holding company. And what are you looking for? If there's anyone listening that's looking to sell a business, you can get in contact with this guy. He'll evaluate it, him and his partners. But what type of business are you looking for? Like you said, it doesn't matter to the business.
Any.
Yeah.
It could be mulch companies. It could be
Yeah.
from that to home care, any.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Tone, like, what were some of your motivations, like, throughout life that, like, kept you going? Like, what were some motivations?
So it was a motivation of fear was growing up poor and never wanting to be poor again. So like having like a bite of the apple, so to speak, of having that single family home and then thinking like, man, if I don't work or do this, I could be poor again.
Yeah.
So like that's all. So I don't know if it was more so motivation as it was fear of going back to living like that.
Your fear was your motivation.
Yeah, all the same, yep.
So what I find crazy is, like me and Lil kind of hit the bottom. Like if you didn't know, listen to other episodes. Me and Lil were incarcerated. We decided to change our lives in there, and it's only when you hit the bottom, it's only up from there. You weren't at the bottom, like you were at the bottom when your younger years, and then you always kept elevating. And at some point, you can say a lot of people would switch lives with you, and you made it. You're in Washington Township. You got a big corporate job. You're making probably over 6 figures a year. I think that's a harder position to get out of than the position that me and Lil were in, because you're already doing good and you're already successful. You're like living a good life, and then to turn it up even more. Like, how did you? Because where's the motivation out there when you already feel like you won, or I guess you never felt like you won?
Yeah, I didn't feel like I won.
Yeah.
You
I still
never
don't.
look back, like you said, though. At the same time, you always look forward.
Always looking forward, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's a tough spot to come from.
Yeah.
40,
Most definitely.
yeah, and being in my 40s, it's keep on looking forward. It's slowing down a little bit now. It's not like I don't want to say work, but I want to work really smart. Now, like my time with the people that I'm spending with now is going to be a lot more strategic than it was when I was 20s and 30s, 40s, or the circle gets smaller. And my time with the people that I'm spending it with is definitely a lot more valuable to me now than it ever was.
Yeah, we appreciate your time right now too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, another question I wanted to ask you, Tom, was like what is some advice that you would give kids? Because Kensington is like a tough area, Philly period, but Kensington alone is like a tough area. So what's some advice that you would give like kids that's like from the area, from the neighborhood, that's like trying to change their life and they don't want to grow up poor? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So more so like career advice or just life or?
All around. Like, it doesn't even necessarily have to be career advice. Just advice, whereas though they won't end up like how me and Frankie ended up.
So it goes back to picking your friends,
Okay.
Put more time and effort into your friends. And, if your friends have a good career path and they have a different mindset than the people in the neighborhood, gravitate to them. It's almost like we have this tough guy mentality being from the city. Like, we got to hang with the tough guy and we got to be around the gangsters.
Just about to say that.
Like, that doesn't get you anywhere. And I remember growing up, like, my parents would say, like, don't hang with them bad kids. And whatever. It's the truth. Like, the bad kids are going to get in trouble.
Yeah.
It's no joke. So if you could pick your friends a little differently, it's kind of hard to say. I mean, it's easy to say now at 46 years old, looking back and saying it to a 13-year-old, but like for a 13-year-old to listen to it, it's kind of tough, right?
Yeah.
So like they need to do more for the kids in the city to give them a better shot to be more successful. So like there's programs and stuff, and hopefully with this new mayor, which she should do great. She seems to be great. Hopefully with the new mayor, a lot will change in the city to give kids a springboard to be more successful.
What I think kids need to see more, because when you're coming from the city, you're growing up in, whatever neighborhood it is, you don't see the possibilities. you know, when you go downtown, you see possibilities. When you're starting to flip houses, you see possibilities. But when you're a kid and your surroundings are, you know, your family's on drugs or your family's at the bar all the time or your cousin's in and out of jail, if that's all you see, then that's all you're going to do. You don't see the possibilities. So I feel like these kids being able to get around people that are doing things that are outside of what they're seeing every day. And it's not like, you know, got to go be a basketball player or a football player or a rapper or a musician. Like, you can just be a regular person, have a good career, and be successful without having to do something like astronomical where people think it's like, my shots of being a ball player ain't going to happen, so I'm just going to be stuck in the hood doing the same shit. So I think seeing the possibility is huge.
Yeah. And the expectation of, like, I guess the success rate of becoming a ball player versus a doctor, like Charles Barkley talked about before, it's like, it's much easier to become a doctor than it is to get a job in the NBA as an NBA basketball player. So like, it's almost like we're setting this mindset up for failure almost, you know?
Yeah.
So
Well, you don't want them to stop going for their dreams. They could be that one who Kyle Lowry from Philly to Marcus Morris and all them. Like, it's still possible. But I feel like if you are going the entertainment route, we'll call it,
Have a backup plan.
have a backup plan.
yeah, backup plan. Yep.
Yeah.
And I think like at some point you got to be realistic with yourself, like, and say, okay, my son's good, but he's not like, you know,
It's not Kobe.
yeah, he's not Kobe,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah,
So like, and trying to have that conversation too.
Yeah.
So, real estate was on your mind. You said, I just want to go back to that
Yeah,
because I
yeah.
forgot the extra. I didn't want to cut you off. So, real estate was on your mind when you were working a regular job. It was a dream. Why real estate? I know why real estate, but if someone's listening, why real estate?
You know, I don't know. So like, I could say why I know now because it paid off for me, but at the time it was just always something that I wanted to do. And this was before like HGTV came out and like all these, you know, flipping things.
Yeah.
It was always something that I wanted to do. I don't know. I remember when I got the call. So I was working at Comcast and my buddy Chung called me. And because I would always say, Chung, I want to get involved in real estate. I want to get involved in real estate. So I remember he called me one time. He said, okay, if you really want to get involved in real estate, meet me tomorrow. Meet me in Chinatown for lunch. So got Janine, and I think it was Madison at the time. Got in the car. Next day, we go down to Chinatown and grab lunch. And Chung said, if you want to get involved in real estate, this is the deal. He said, if not, don't call me anymore because this is it.
Wait, who's Chung? And
He is a good friend of mine who I owe a lot to because he was the one that got me involved with my first real estate transaction.
Where'd you meet him from?
On my step. So I was sitting on my step as my son was born, and he was walking down the street, and me talking to everyone. That's one thing I would say, like, you know, the old don't talk to strangers. Talk to everyone. Talk to everyone you see. They say don't do business with family and friends. It's the old who's left.
Yeah.
Right? So talk to every stranger you see. So I talked to him, and 20 years later, here we are, still good buddies.
Doing a deal with him right now.
Yeah, Frank's doing something with them. So Chung is a good friend of mine. Got me involved in real estate. But so about that deal, he said if I wanted to get involved to reach out to him, and I did. And when I sat down with him, he said if I didn't do this deal, don't call him again. So I had to do the deal. So this was my first deal. So just to take a step back, like it wasn't always like having, you know, resources. I had to become resourceful. So I bought this property from him, and it was $70,000. So this was my first deal, just like somewhat starting out of Comcast, a few years into it, young kids. So I bought my first property from him for $70,000, and I had to take a line out against my primary home that I lived in. So that was a risk.
Yeah.
So I took a risk on that, and I had like, you know, money in the bank saved, not a lot, maybe like $50,000, which is a lot, but at the time it was a whole lot. It was a lot. So with young kids, so I took the lien against the house and the money we had in the bank, and we flipped it. So I had about 100 and I'm trying to think of what I bought it for 70. Yeah, so I had about 100 and let's say 110 into the property.
Didn't pick up a hammer.
Didn't pick up a hammer, no.
Hired contractors and all.
So here's where life starts to change. So I sell that property for $250.
Okay.
So it was a huge return, right? So 6-figure return. Buy the next one right around the corner. I paid $2 something for that. Did it over again, and that's how it started to change. So like now these are the times where you were able to pick up a house in Fishtown for $80,000 to $100,000. Those days are long gone.
Yeah.
So, so then I did it again, and that's when things really started to change.
Well, you kind of go ahead.
Oh, so at that point in time, did you still need Chung, or was it like, I got it now, I got the method figured out, and you just went along by yourself? Like, how did that go?
I had the method, but I didn't have the properties. He was the realtor, so he was the one that would find the deals. So we were a team. He would find the deals, and I would fix them up. The guys fix them up and sell them. So I would buy it from him. He would get commission, and I would sell it with him. He would get commission again. So it incentivized him to keep on finding deals for me.
Oh.
And plus, he really liked me, and I liked him, and we were friends, so he kept on giving me a lot more deals.
So I was just thinking how you transitioned from buying houses, fixing them, flipping them, to building them. That's like the next level, right? You start off buying them and fixing them up, and then you're like, well, there's this hole in the ground that I can build a house on. So, and you build your resources and your contacts up from the buying and flipping, I guess, or you meet new people too along the way.
Yep. Yeah, so I ended up
It's like you graduated. That was your school.
from flipping houses I did, and I ended up building the house at the shore for my family, and I wasn't really in the driver's seat. I was in the passenger seat. I hired a guy to do it, and I learned a lot from him. And I was like, wow, like all he was doing was calling the same people. I was like, wow, so just picking it up on, and he would give me his resources. And it got me involved in thinking about building houses. So then that's what I did. I built one, then two, then three, then five at the shore, and then so on and so on. So,
Isn't it crazy though? Not to cut you off, Frank, but like how you could get one thing done. I'm sorry about that. How you can get one thing done and it could just like spark your interest or spark something in your mind. And it's like, man, I gotta keep doing this. Like,
I never really thought about any of this in this sequence of flip the house, like a row home, to building a house ground up, to building a building.
Family.
Yeah.
So now we're building. So we're building a 30-unit building in one location. We're building a 28-unit building in another location. We're building a 150-unit to 200-unit building out in the suburbs. So it went from that to boom to boom. Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. See, it's a growth mindset type of thing, and some people, seems like you weren't even aware of it. Maybe you were, maybe you weren't. I'm like actively and aggressively trying to grow and step out of my comfort zone and what's the next level. At the time, going through the real estate, and then you're like, all right, I'm gonna build a house. Well, what's next for me? Do you keep looking, like you said, you keep looking forward? Are you just like trying to do bigger and better, or you're just like, what's next?
I think it's just what's next. Like what's not. I don't
what's
really
in front of you next, not like what can I do 10 years from now? What can I do 5 years from now? What can I do that's going to generate 100 million? You're probably looking at the next couple moves, or
what's in front of me is like what I swing the hammer at, so to speak. I don't really have there was never like a plan for me. Like I never planned out anything, So it was sort of just what comes down the pipeline, and I'll evaluate it. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. So,
well, you have to start saying no at some point, right? Because now your time and energy and money is tied up in other stuff. Them deals that were coming to you before, are you saying no to them because now you're doing something that's more lucrative, or that's,
so in any deal, I would say that anyone gets involved in, you want to try and minimize your risk. So you look at any deal, if it's buying a hot dog stand and a hot chocolate stand or whatever, you look at it and say, what are the risks here? If there's too many risks, you don't do it. So that's where I am now. Like I would still buy a house in the neighborhood and flip it if the profit was there, and the deal was
made sense. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not too big for anything. So
makes a lot of sense.
it just comes down to risk, and a lot of the things I like to do is I have good partners. It goes back to that. I've done independent stuff. I own my own independent company as well, a holding company. But my partnerships have been like the greatest.
So how huge is networking for someone that's listening that they're trying to get into entrepreneurship, or they're trying to get around the right people, or how big is networking played a part in your life?
Well, there's a saying, and it's probably one of the most accurate sayings. It's your network is your net worth.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, that's pretty true. I mean, like I said earlier, like if 5 good guys are at the table and you're sitting at the table, you're probably going to be 6.
But does this come with awareness though? Because what if you're around people and they're making moves and they're getting some money or they're doing some business, but they're not good dudes, but you're just hyped to be around some players or some people that's making money, but you're not even aware that they're probably cutting corners, they're chipping people off. Like, I think awareness is huge too. You can't just be around people that are.
That's every day. I mean, and as you get older, I think awareness is a lot more relevant to you in life in general. So, like, when your feet hit the floor in the morning, you know, like when your feet hit the floor in the morning, you're a lot more aware than you've ever been.
Yeah.
You know.
So, you got anything, Lil?
Lay it on me, Lil. Lay it on me.
Pause. What do you got?
Oh man, it's a lot, man. Like, first off, I just want to say, like, your story is crazy, man. Like, your whole story from you being younger to where you're at now is like motivation, man.
Just tell the kids, man, keep on showing up. Just show up. That's part of the challenge.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're doing this in, fast forward mode here, but it's I'm really grateful for where I am in my life with my wife, my family, my friends, my son, obviously. So it is it's a real.
But you were grateful the whole time, or was there any point where you
Yeah,
didn't
no,
feel
I
like
was
you were
always grateful. No, I was always grateful. I feel like as you become a little bit older and you learn a lot more. And, I'm at an age now to where I think back 10 years ago, I was at an age where my friends' parents were passing away. Now I'm at the age where my friends are passing away. So it's, and I'm 47, but a lot of cancers are going around and stuff like that. So each day is more valuable.
So at your age now, what are you prioritizing? Like, what are some of your priorities now in comparison to 10 years ago or 15 years ago? Was probably making money, or what are some of your priorities now?
Family. Number one's family.
Yep.
The business stuff. Yeah, my dogs. But no, the business stuff is, it's in the background because I have a few partnerships, but it's not as important as it used to be by any stretch. My family, my friends, clearly my friends. It's really important to me as well. So.
And you're I feel like you're consciously, because I talk to you every day, you're consciously trying to take care of yourself more, your body more, your physical health, mental health, stuff like that.
Yeah, no doubt. Yep, trying to get in the gym more often.
Yeah, watching what you're eating and
watching what you're eating. So yeah, you've seen that, Lil. So
what was that?
Yeah. So just more awareness.
Any honey buns?
No, that's his railroad. So
With the honey buns. You got anything else for him, Lil?
No, man. That was good. I appreciate you.
Thanks,
likewise, buddy.
Thanks for your time. Thanks for everything, honestly. But more importantly, thanks for the time you give. I know how busy you are. Exactly. You could be doing a million things. You could be spending time with your family, but you're taking time out to be here with us and do other stuff behind the scenes with us. You're going to be a huge part of this, and we're going to keep going forward with this, too. And I'm thankful to have you. Thankful for your friendship.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Tune in next time.